Hi everybody, it's Madison. I'm here for episode number 2 with our guest, Jordan Indyk. Jordan, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Well, my name is Jordan, as Madison just said, and I am actually Madison's sister. I am currently a therapist at an agency called Touchstone Behavioral Health Services out in Arizona.
Nice. So, I wanted to ask, what got you into the helping profession field?
Well, I guess you could always say the typical thing of just wanting to help people, as you often hear from, I feel like, pretty much every person in the helping profession. But I think one thing that really made me decide to go into this career was a specific time when I was younger that I remember. And our grandma is a nurse. And I remember going to visit her one time, and there was a little boy there in the playroom or something along those lines. And he was there because of like burns that he had gotten. And I remember asking my grandma after, just like, what happened? I don't understand. And she had, in the most like hip way possible, explained to me that it was his parents who did that to him. And in my mind, I couldn't wrap my head around it. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. And I think clearly that has stuck with me my entire life, and just, made me just want to figure out ways to prevent that or help children heal from things like that. So I guess then that was the one thing that really stuck with me. And then over time, it was more of deciding where to go with that. And at first I had thought maybe things like physical therapy or something along those lines. But to be completely honest, they told me I would have to dissect a human body, and that wasn't okay with me. And I realized that the physical helping of someone was not what I wanted. It was more the mental health aspect of it. So.
That is a really touching story. I mean, I feel like everybody has something that brought them into that helping profession, and I actually didn't even know that story, honestly, myself. But obviously you were meant to be in the helping profession, and it takes sometimes a little crazy and scary things to get us there. So what does so let's go on to the journey of I know this isn't your first job in the helping profession, so start off with your career path through the helping profession.
Okay. So I guess we could start as early as technically internships in college. So I started when you go into the social work career or like degree, basically, you're required to pretty much do internships from the beginning. So I think it was my freshman or sophomore years when I did my first internship, and I worked in like an adult, not like an elderly facility, where they basically just ran like groups and things to have like a place for elderly people to get together, and like we threw parties and stuff, something along those lines. Then after that, I worked in a school for children with autism and other mental health disabilities, and we ran a social skills program there after school for the kids to teach them basically how to just interact better and read social cues, emotional cues from other people. And then after that, I started my internship with in New Jersey, it's called Division of Child Protection and Permanency. I know it's called something different in every state. So just to kind of explain, that's basically the child welfare system, basically, pretty much what it is. So I interned there all of senior year and was very lucky to get a permanent position there after through a program called BitWhip, which is really big in New Jersey. So if anybody's listening and wanted to get into that, it's a great foot in the door. And then I guaranteed them 2 years of work through that program. So I worked in the child welfare system doing like investigations, and I loved that. But then I decided to move out to Arizona. So I did then moved to Arizona and did the same job out here in Arizona, but on the permanency side of it. So I was in charge of kids who were already removed from the home and like checking in on them and helping the parents to work, not the program, but basically work through the orders of the court so that they can work to get their children back. Then I moved into my current agency, Touchstone, and there I was a care coordinator. So basically what I was a case manager, like a fancy name for that. And I worked with the families and I hosted team meetings for the kiddos and kind of figured out what services would be best for them. And during that time, I was going to school to get my master's in social work. And I also interned again, because again required, at a place called Arizona Children's Association, where I was a clinician and I did intake assessments for our young adult program. So it was kids who have been involved in the system but are aging out, and we helped to give them life skills. And then once I finished my degree, now I'm in my current position where at Touchstone, they offered me a therapist position. So that's what I do now. So about Touchstone is we work with a lot of lower income families and kiddos who are currently in the system, and pretty much helping them to process that. We have a lot of kiddos with like severe behaviors. We have an autism center, so I get a lot of kiddos with autism. I'm just helping them work through that trauma, pretty much.
Wow. She's done a lot of work, and she's like one of my biggest inspirations in the helping profession field. So obviously, it was no doubt in my mind to interview Jordan. What's like been your favorite, like your niche in social work? What, like, I feel like I kind of know this, but like, what has been your favorite job or favorite part and aspect of social work?
Do you mean in terms of maybe population or okay? So 110%. My favorite population is kiddos. Kids. Sorry, and it's a very Arizona thing. You come out here and you pick up the word kiddos, and that's what I call all my kids now. And so yeah, no, working with kids is definitely my favorite. Being newer in this position, it's hard for me to say. I would have said for the whole entire time that working for DCS, the child welfare system, was always my favorite. To be completely honest, I like the fast-paced nature of it, and kind of like being there, like in the beginning, to kind of help mediate the situation, and also being able to help the parents. But I also do love my new role. But it's kind of more of a fixer instead of like preventative, if that makes sense. So I think that's why I lean a little bit more towards still the child welfare system. So, but definitely, no matter what, kids.
Kids, yeah.
And not teenagers, I would like to clarify.
Not teenagers. That's a very, that takes a certain person. I think, but. What has do you have a client story? Obviously, protect your clients. Don't tell us any, personal information like that, but story that has stuck out in your mind, like of I feel like there's always a moment that we have, like a really touching moment.
Thinking back, I guess there's probably like two. So I have like a recent one, and then like just a person, a family I think will stick with me forever.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe not for the best reason, but so back when I was working for a Division of Child Protection and Permanency in New Jersey, I had a client who was getting referrals day in and day out, and me and mom, and it's still to this day, I'm not sure if she was really doing the things in the referral, to be completely honest. But we had just built such a good relationship together where, I'm sorry for the profanity, but like there was days where she would just be like, "And tell your supervisor I said suck my dick, Jordan," and I was like, "Okay." So it got to the point where like she hated our agency, as most people did or do still. But me and her were able to build such a good relationship where she was like, "I'm only letting you in because it's you, Jordan," and I guess it just felt good, to see that I was able to build that relationship with her and, have that in. And I still think about her like to this day. I just loved her.
Yeah.
But more recently, I guess, more of a positive client that I have that sticks with, or that I think will stick with me for a long time, is I just got referred a kid out here, and when I got referred her, she was with another agency getting services, but the team had decided to come to Touchstone to like get all of her stuff together at our agency. And so we did some transitional sessions with the therapist from the other agency, and the therapist kept saying to me, like, "I can't get her to open up. She doesn't want to talk about anything," and I was just like, "Okay, well, I'll just take it day by day and try building rapport with her." And at this point, we're doing all telehealth. So it's hard. And the kid said to me too, she's like, "I'd really prefer to see you in person." And in Arizona, we're kind of going the opposite way of New York and New Jersey, where we're a mess out here in terms of COVID. So I was like, I'm just not comfortable, and wearing a face mask, I don't think it's gonna help our relationship. At least we can see each other and feel a little bit closer via Zoom. And we had like 2 transitional sessions, and things were like, and she's not talking, and I was like, okay, whatever. We're just literally gonna talk about what you did today, because like, what else can we talk about? You're like struggling to make the session even last. And then our first session without the other therapist there, we're 5 minutes in, and I asked her a question about the recent holiday that had passed, or I think it was 4th of July. And she breaks down crying and opened up to me about like how much she's in care, and how much she just missed her mom, and the holidays aren't the same. And and I mean, in the moment, I was shocked. I didn't really know what to do. And of course, it's via Zoom. So this poor girl is like sitting in her kitchen crying, and I'm sitting here kind of helpless. But I guess it just, again, maybe the same concept, and that's why they stick with me, is just that, like, I was able to make her feel comfortable enough with me. And I think those are the types of things that make me feel like I chose the right thing to do. And that's the right career path, and that's why it sticks with me and means a lot to me. So
yeah. I mean, obviously, that person felt comfortable in a therapeutic relationship, and that wasn't provided by the other therapist. So, I mean, that's really nice. That's always makes you feel good inside, and I think that's why a lot of therapists choose a helping profession. Like, yeah. So, what do you see for, I mean, you just got your master's. I'm going to shout her out. Jordan got her master's from Fordham University in May. So, awesome job. What do you see for your future in the field?
Lots of things. Lots of undecided things. So I think right now, one of my goals, with COVID and living in Arizona and far away from my family for so long, it's made me realize how much I value them. So I think that as soon as physically and safely possible. I would love to move back home, apply for licensure in New Jersey, and it's hard to say. I think ideally, eventually, I would love to work in a school setting, but if possible, and I guess that's some stuff I'd have to research, also on the weekends or during summers, work to get my hours towards my licensure, so then I could be a licensed clinical social worker. So I don't know if everybody knows the logistics of how it works. So you apply for licensure and you become a licensed social worker from just taking the test. But then after that, you have to accumulate hours to become a licensed clinical social worker. So accumulate those hours and those supervision that I have to, and then maybe be able to work in private practice on like the weekends, or have my own private practice maybe on the weekends and during the summer, and then work in a school. So, but it's also hard to say because I've never worked in a school. I think it's just the concept of it seems like a really good idea to me, and the hours and being around family and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I could do it and hate it, and I'm taking a different turn.
Yeah. So. I want to backtrack a little bit and ask you about, I forgot to ask this earlier, but for touchstone, like that type of service, what do people, a person seeking therapy services at a place like that, from your knowledge of that agency in particular, what do they have to do?
So our agency it's interesting to me, and I don't know if it's just because I had never come across them while working in New Jersey, but I now know of like several out here. So it's like it's weird to me. So I don't know if it's the same everywhere. But for our agency, it's basically just like you call in to, we have like a main line number that like directs you to our member service agents, and you basically just say you want to start services, and then you get called in and you do an intake assessment. So basically just like a biopsychosocial they would do with the family, and then from there, you would get assigned to a case manager, which is what I was saying that I was in the beginning before having this role. And then you would, sounds a little repetitive, but then meet with the case manager, kind of review that assessment, and then talk about services. And that case manager would refer the kiddo for any services. And if we don't offer the services in our agency, we refer out to other agencies in Arizona in the area. So once you like get the in to our agency, you pretty much have access to anything. The only thing about these types of agencies out here in Arizona is that we really only take like the state insurance. So it's called Access out here, and I'm blanking of what it's even called in New Jersey right now. But like if you have private insurance, we don't accept those. So it's really targeted towards a specific population of people.
So where can our viewers connect with you?
Well, anybody's more than welcome to reach out to me just via email. It's just j.indyk@aol.com. I mean, if you have any questions or anything like that, unlike Madison, I'm not as big on the social media and everything like that. But yeah, no. And then, of course, if we connected via email, if you had questions or something like that, we could always set up a time to talk on the phone or whatever it may be.
Awesome. Thank you. And to wrap it up, I'd like to ask if there's anything you would like to tell the world. What would it be? One thing to tell the world.
I think, so I guess this could kind of go two different aspects to it. So for the therapist or the person in the helping profession, I always like to say, make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And I think that's like really important. I mean, especially during everything with COVID right now, I think that's something that I've really realized for myself, is that I can't do my job if I'm not taking care of myself. And if I'm not my best version of myself, my clients aren't getting my best version of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the flip side, to all the clients and the people seeking the help, is to remember that your therapist or whoever you're getting services from is a person too. And we're not perfect. We make mistakes. And we're kind of learning together. I think there is some video training that I was going through with my agency, and it's a man named Dr. Roten, and he had said, don't be afraid to admit fault and admit that you're not perfect. And I think that's just really important for the therapist and the client to remember. So, yeah.
Wow, that's very admirable and very nice thoughts to share with the world. Thank you, Jordan.